You're watching Studio Ken. Make sure you don't miss any episode of Studio Ken by subscribing to the YouTube channel. To subscribe, search for Studio Ken on YouTube, click subscribe on the bottom right of your screen, and set a reminder. You can also watch Studio Ken on Diamond TV on Wednesday at 18:30 and on Saturday at 19 hours. Studio Ken, the home of Kennedy Gondwe, on YouTube.
You don't need to tell me that Zambia has never had a female president. Women have attempted to get to the presidency, but none has so far succeeded. Now, there's one woman who's determined to change all that. Her name is Miss Chishala Kateka, leader of the New Heritage Party. The 64-year-old has enjoyed a stellar corporate career and has held positions in the Competition Commission, Absa Bank, the World Bank, Zamnet Communication Systems, amongst others. But how can she turn all that corporate experience into political power? Ms. Kateka is my guest on Studio Ken, and we're at her house in Mtendere East.
Hi, my name is Hope. Enjoy all those great interviews on Studio Ken, but to watch, you need to subscribe, so hit the button now.
Ms. Kateka, thank you very much for agreeing to be on Studio Ken.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Why must people take you seriously? Because previously we've seen other female candidates that have tried to rule Zambia and they've not been successful. Some names that come to mind are Gwendolyn Kony, the late Miss Edith Nawakwi, and then we had the sister to Akashamba Twambi Kusitalewanika. And here you are offering to lead Zambia.
Yes. You have to realize that everything has got its time. There was a time we had the first black president in Zambia. There was a time we had a first vice president who is female. So there's always a time. And when you look at those three ladies, they did their job, they opened doors. So now it becomes acceptable for a female to actually offer themselves, which is what I have done. These three ladies, I salute them. They were very brave, especially the first two, because it had never been done before. So the two of them stood. Yes, they didn't go through, but people took note. And then when Edith came on, she was more accepted. And now I have come on, I'll be even more accepted.
What makes you think so? Because others that have tried before you have failed.
That's why I'm saying there's always a time for something. Now, when you look at a female, when you give a female a job, they tend to do it well because they know that they'll be judged even more harshly than the men. So when we are given a responsibility, we go beyond and above. And in addition to the normal skills that you ought to have as a man. If you were a man, you'd have these skills anyway, you know, your expertise, your education, etc. But we have an added something that the men don't have, and that is the softer skills of the woman. Women tend to be intuitive. They tend to have, you know, when they look at a situation, they'll not just say, it's 2 + 2 = 4. They'll consider other factors as well. What is this person going through? So there are issues like that to consider as well.
But since your core is to save Zambia, and saving Zambia may require bringing different talents together. As a matter of fact, even as a follow-up to the question that I asked you, from the time Zambia got independence, it's only been the men.
Yes.
Why is it that women have not risen to the occasion when they've been required to?
I'm not too sure what you mean by they have not risen.
We've never had a female as Zambia's president.
Because they haven't been voted in. I think that's a straightforward, simple answer. I'm very sure that if those three ladies had been voted in, they would have done a very good job. I'm very sure of that. But they were not given that chance, unfortunately. So we have to try again and see what happens with these coming elections. I'm very sure that either one of us getting in, Madam Edith or myself, we would do a very good job.
Other than your stellar corporate career, you've come to the table now and you want to lead Zambia. You want to serve the people. What else is motivating you to be Zambia's president?
So I'm first, yes, I come from the corporate world, but I'm fiercely Zambian. And I'm fiercely a proponent of what we can do and what can be achieved. And I'm grieved by the fact that we have not achieved what we could so easily have done with the correct governance structures in place, with the correct mindset, getting the right people in the right positions, which we have not done. That grieves me. What grieves me is how the people, the Zambian people, because Zambia is not just a country. So getting all these glass buildings and everything, that is not our aim. Our aim is to uplift the Zambians. So if the Zambians continue to suffer, then what are we doing? You see? So I've traveled widely in Zambia, and I've done an NGO. I did an NGO called Youth with a Vision for Zambia, where we were targeting young adults to help them to become who they need to become. So we identified problems that prevent us as Zambians, mostly mindset. We identified about 23 mindsets, which is common to us Zambians and which prevent us from achieving. So we were going around the country and speaking to youth and just bringing that to their attention. And because of that, I have seen Zambians, and one thing I know is Zambians are very able, but you need to help them to get into that space. You need to point them in the right direction. And I have not seen that being done. So that's why our approach is different from what other people are doing.
I personally don't have any problems with a female being Zambia's president.
That's good.
But your own party is one that has been known only to come around when there are elections. So they would go away for 3-4 years, and then election time, they come. You've relaunched the Heritage Party. The only difference is that you've added the word new. Why should people take you seriously?
For the simple reason that, firstly, we have new leadership. It's not the same leadership. So maybe let me just give a little bit of a background. The Heritage Party was started by General Mianda and did well 2001, but then has not been doing as well going further until it was deregistered in 2019 by the founder member. Heritage Party was setting out to do something for the Zambian people, and a number of us who were Heritage Party members felt that we didn't achieve what we set out to achieve, and we needed to achieve it. So we started the process of re-registering the party last year. Now, I know that people think that we have just jumped up at this time and said, we're going to stand in 2021, far from the truth. We realized what problems we had. We went through the problems that we encountered as the old Heritage Party, and we don't want to repeat those same, the challenges that we had. So we've put a lot of thought to what we are doing. We have not started working now. We wanted to work in the background because you know that the environment is quite hostile. So we thought there was wisdom in reaching out to most of Zambia before we even announced ourselves. So we are announcing ourselves now, but we have been to most of the provinces in Zambia. So it's not a new thing. Number two, the old Heritage had its manifesto and had a core message of the village concept, but that was 2001, when the landscape, political landscape, economic landscape, social landscape, totally different from what it is now. Therefore, our message is different. Our manifesto is different. Our core message is very different. So we know exactly what we are aiming for, It's still the Zambian people at the core of what we are doing, but how to get there is slightly different.
But don't you think that somewhat fits into the frustration that you hear from most Zambians? Say, look, we've got more than is necessary in terms of political parties. Why can't these political parties come together, field one candidate or two candidates in order to unseat the current government?
When your aim, okay, let me put it this way. People rise up to stand as political candidates, as presidential candidates for different reasons.
Some selfish.
Some for selfish reasons. Some want to make a name. Some want to make money. Some they just want to position themselves so that they can be approached as running mate or somebody who will be used to. Do you know what I mean? It's
Aren't you
all
one of
about a
those?
job. Absolutely not. Our focus is to form government. It might look impossible, but it's not. We don't think it's impossible. So when you approach someone and say, let's work together, you need to have one mind. You need to be agreed. There needs to be unity of purpose. If there is no unity of purpose in what you are doing, there is no point. Now, when you look
But doesn't that then give the incumbent advantage? Because the people that are supposed to be replacing him are the ones that are singing from different hymn sheets, as it were.
The assumption there is that we are only going to take votes from the opposition. Do you realize that within the ruling party, things are not as straight as they seem to be? What makes you think we are not dividing that vote? Why should people assume we are dividing this vote? So we haven't come to divide either this vote or that vote. We've come to present ourselves as the credible alternative.
But the power of incumbency is one that is very difficult to dismantle. So much as
is.
they may be divided, they are enjoying the leadership right now. They've got their resources. And here you are, you may not match their resources.
We definitely do not match their resources.
But if those resources then, as the opposition, were put together, maybe you could stand a chance.
Maybe we could stand a chance, but maybe not. Here's the issue we have with regard to parties coming together. When you look at the history of alliances in Zambia, have we seen a successful alliance? It's always about supporting this one. Do you see what I mean? So it's about escorting you to State House.
But at the same time, if I remember correctly, what you said is that there's always a first time for something. Like there's the first time for a woman president in yourself, as you are putting it. Isn't there the first time for an alliance to work?
Possibly, but here's what I was trying to say. What we have seen is you enter into an alliance, you know, with all good intentions. You go and you're like 2 months before the elections and then they break up. Where does that leave you? Because you've stopped focusing on what you needed to do. And you are focusing on this alliance because you believe that it will work. When you go in there, I'm one of those people who, when I put I give you my word, I want to see it fulfilled. Okay? So, and when you go in and then you let me down at the last moment, we will have lost so much time. The safest thing to do is continue working as we are. If something works out, we're not saying no to alliances, but we have to really read the mood of the people. We need to read what's happening at that time.
But don't you think...
Also, sorry, let me just finish this. Also, when you, you need to build yourself up. Otherwise, people will treat you like an way underdog. You know, whereas they should treat you here, they'll be treating you at that level. So we really need to build ourselves up.
So shouldn't you have maybe spent time building yourself up? Because the elections are in August. Don't you think you've come on the scene a little too late? Absolutely
not. Like I said, we've been everywhere in Zambia. The people who vote are not, well, all people vote, but it's the people, the grassroots who really matter. And before we started this, we did our research. We did some research. And what we found is that a lot of people A lot of people are upset with the current government. A lot of people in a lot of provinces are upset.
Their supporters, the current government supporters, may not agree with you. They believe that, look at the infrastructure, for instance.
Of course.
Okay.
I was just about to say that many people, so within each province, you will find those who support the current government because they are PF supporters. That's who they are. And some of them, they eat from that. So they do support the PF. Then there are those who are so upset, they said, you know what, if it's going to be like this, we are going to go with the raids. But not because they believe in the raids, but because they are upset with the PF. But the majority of the Zambians are saying, if the landscape is going to be like this, we're not going to vote.
When you talk to the PF, the things that they point out to are infrastructure development.
Yes.
They talk about COVID having affected the economy.
Yes.
And just recently, the president was launching an economic recovery roadmap.
Yes.
So clearly, they're also putting things in place to ensure that Zambia does not remain as stagnant.
Yes, that's true. In the three issues you've pointed to is what they look to and say, look, we are trying to do something. The question is, what are the people on the ground saying? You see, there comes a point where people are so upset that it doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to listen to what you are saying. Remember, I said Zambia is about who? About Zambians, okay? So am I eating better today than I was eating before, okay? And if you ask the Zambians at the grassroots, what are they saying? Those are the people. Did you notice the turnout at the, people would stand 10 hours in a queue just to register?
Register? Maybe to vote PF in or back again.
Yes, but when you ask them, they said, we want to make sure that we kick these people out. Number two, the fact that you have a lot of, more resources than others is not a guarantee that you will go through. You know that. Yes, incumbency, we've seen it before. MMD was kicked out. Did you see the amount of money they spent, campaigning? That was a serious amounts of money. Even dogs had collars, MMD collars and things like that. So it's not the amount of money that you spend. It's the buy-in from the people that matters.
People like you that have come from a corporate world to join politics in Zambia have not quite enjoyed success. What do you think is the difference between the corporate world and politics? You mentioned grassroots there. The grassroots, with all due respect, I grew up in George Compound. People understand a different language, not the corporate language. The majority of the people that come to vote will not understand your board language, but the politics. What do you think is the difference?
The difference is that the people in the corporate world speak at this level and their language is at this level. Politics is a totally different ballgame. As you can see, I live in Mutendere East. I'm surrounded. I live in a compound. Fortunately for me, I can relate to people at all levels. I can relate to people in New York. I can relate to people in the corporate world. But the good thing is I relate very well to the grassroots. I speak their language.
What is it about Zambian politics that you think should be corrected?
I think that the playing field is not level. There's a lot of intolerance. I don't see why that should be. I think we should allow people to be who they are and allow people to campaign freely so that people can make their choices like that. This situation we have it just brings us into all sorts of problems. Why are people afraid of competition? Why not face the competition? You are such a big party, so why not allow competition? Why do you want to put that? Do you know how long it took for us to register our party? 9 months. as though we were giving birth. Maybe we've given birth to Zambia. You know what I mean? Why should you do that? Trying to disadvantage us. There's no need. Don't disadvantage us. We were just a small part, but we are now growing.
How different do you think Zambia would be under a female president?
I think that Zambia would be much better off under a female president. Things will be, because women tend to think in a very logical way, and we would put a lot of things in place, systems in place, and make sure that things are done the way they are supposed to be done. I think would put a lot of order in the nation. We would begin to see the livelihoods of people being lifted, because that is the core of what we are on about. And that in our view as the Heritage Party, that the Zambians are the most important stakeholders in this game that we are playing.
And how do you hope to deal with the deeply entrenched misogyny and patriarchy that has dominated Zambian politics?
I think that it's not necessarily our dealing with it, as in the Zambians themselves deciding that it's now time to change tables. They want to try something new. They feel they have suffered enough. They feel they have been lied to often, and because of that, they want to try something else.
The reason I asked that question is because, again, of what I said earlier, it's not my position, but
Yes,
it is society's position.
Yes,
that
yes.
there's a certain way female leaders or those that aspire to be president are looked at. So it's directed at you as a female candidate. How do you hope to deal with that?
I've worked mostly in male-dominated spaces, and what I have found is that you need to do your best. You just need to do your best, need to do the right thing, and people start to take you seriously. They start to respect you, and that's what I intend to do.
The one other thing that has entrenched itself in Zambian politics is the issue of tribalism. Where do you stand on that?
We are so unhappy about tribalism. It's one of the key issues we want to address. You see, when God made Zambia, He put brains everywhere to build up this nation. So when you split this country in half along political lines, along tribal lines, it means you are operating with half the capacity. But as you know, even the half that you are using is not the best of the half. It means that's why we have these problems. We need to unite Zambia. Zambians need to work together to build the country. So you don't appoint me because I belong to another political party, and yet I have the capacity to help Zambia. Why should we do that? What are we doing? So one of our major messages is, please, Zambians, don't be part of this problem. There's this big divide that we have. If PF win in 2021, if they were to win in 2021, UPND will not accept it. If UPND win, PF will not accept it.
And where will the Heritage Party, the new Heritage Party be? You're just mentioning two parties.
We are the ones who will win. So then there won't be any division. People will accept it. They will have no choice. I mean, there's no way we would not be accepted. People would just say, what? They've won. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. For those that may not know you, who exactly is Chishala Kateka?
I am a Zambian, first and foremost, and as you have alluded to, I've operated mostly in the corporate world, but I feel the time has come for me now to serve Zambia. I have served in a number of capacities in many places. I studied economics at the University of Zambia. Then I studied accountancy. I'm a fellow chartered accountant. I worked with Deloitte and Touche here in Zambia and in Botswana. And then I've run a number of entities, Zamnet, Kafua Textiles, National Economic Diversification Task Force. I did some consultancy work with the World Bank and interfacing with government a couple of times. So that's who I am. But my heart is to see Zambia get to where it needs to get to. Zambia should have been in a much better space decades ago. Why are we still here? Before I die, I want to see Zambia go in the right direction. And our vision is to see that Zambia becomes an economic hub in Southern Africa by the year 2030.
Grandchildren?
I have a grandchild, one grandchild.
Kids, how many children?
I had two. Unfortunately, my son passed away in 2014.
Sorry about
so now thanks. Now I have one. Henrietta Banda Kananda.
Married?
Yes. She's married.
How about yourself?
I'm not married. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All the best, and thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hope. Enjoy all those great interviews on Studio Ken, but to watch, you need to subscribe, so hit the button now.